are the Guinea Pig Collective. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile. Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome back to the channel with the most hated guinea pigs on YouTube. We are pleased that you have decided to join us today.
So, before we can talk about this series, we must determine, is it worth watching? Is it any good? Is it over? So, what exactly did I think of this latest iteration in the War for Cybertron series on Netflix with Kingdom? It's a bit of a complicated tale, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So the story picks up where the last one ended, where they are streaking towards Earth. Now, for all intent and purposes, this felt very much like the beginning of the original Sunbow cartoon, very much like the original Marvel comics, and everything else that we become accustomed to when they're dealing with the initial Transformers story when they crash land on Earth. However, that is where the similarities end. This tale does not pit the Autobots and Decepticons in a 1980s Earth or even a 1990s or 2000s Earth. This looks like an Earth that is either much ancient or nobody has any clue that these giant alien beings have landed on their planet. There is no changing over to Earth vehicles. There is nothing like that in this part of this series, which is more than a bit disappointing, especially considering the toy line led you to believe that that's the direction that they were going in. And yes, the rumors are true, at least the ones that a lot of us had heard, that the Beast Wars, Predacons, and Maximals were going to be time travelers. This is exactly how they are portrayed in this series. Now, that keeps it fairly in line with the continuity of the Beast Wars cartoon, which, I'm going to be honest, I was never really that huge a fan of. I watched it, I didn't really like it as much as I liked the G1 version of the Transformers, but I wouldn't say that it was horrible. It just wasn't my cup of tea. However, I am versed enough in it that I do know that they are from a future timeline where the Autobots and Decepticons at that point are no more. And they do hold true to that in these episodes in this newest series. I am not going to give any spoilers away. These are just going to be the basics of the show, because if you haven't watched it, I don't want to ruin it for you. I just want to give you a fair amount of information to go with so you can determine whether or not you actually want to invest your time in watching it. Now, as far as a lot of the characters, I think they were done fairly well. Some of the voice acting, once again, seems a little bit off as far as the Beast Wars characters are concerned, but the way that they were drawn and the way that they were done and represented is still fairly decent. They also give a few more nods to not only the Beast Wars cartoon, but they give a few more nods to the old 86 movie as well in this one, further establishing that, yes, Megatron does become Galvatron. So there's that, which looks really good on the surface, and it does seem like they are going to continue Transformers in future iterations. At least that's the way it seems at the conclusion of this third and final chapter in the War for Cybertron. Now, there are a few surprises in there, including a character that was never really in the 86 movie and didn't come until much later on in the extended lore, and that would be Nemesis Prime. I know many of you have seen the trailers for this. If you haven't already watched the show, and you probably already know that he was never mentioned in the Sunbow cartoons, nor was he mentioned in the 86 movie, but they do have a tie-in in this one that it was an interesting take. And the way it ends, they kind of hint at some of the stuff that was going on in the IDW comics as far as the Dead universe is concerned. So overall, what did I think? While I don't think that this chapter was as strong as the first two, I think it was still decent enough, and it was a pretty good wrap up to the War for Cybertron trilogy. And it left the door open for further installments with possibly a Unicron trilogy. We will just have to wait to see what is going to happen, but I am still fairly optimistic. This hit enough of the right notes that I am not really disappointed in it. However, as I said, I don't think it's as strong as the last two. But then again, that could be because I was never a huge Beast Wars fan. However, if you are, you may actually find this one more enjoyable than I did. So there is one other thing that I do want to touch on, and it's something that I seen posted on Twitter where people were complaining about why did they got to include this shit in these cartoons. Now, this is a very small spoiler. There is a scene where Black Arachne is possibly falling to her doom, and she is saved by Airazor and gives her a small peck on the cheek. That is all this was. This was not any kind of virtue signaling. It was not any kind of LGBTQ, whatever, alphabet stuff that you want to claim it was. It was none of that. This is just an innocent reaction to somebody who got saved by somebody else. That's it. So stop outraging for no fucking reason at all. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, if you've enjoyed what you've seen and what you heard, go ahead and destroy that like button for me. If you are new to the channel or if you're returning and you found out you were unsubscribed, we here at the Guinea Pig Collective would appreciate you subscribing. And remember, guys, never let anybody tell you what you can and can't say, what you should or should not watch, because your silence gives consent. And we'll catch you all next time. Later, y'all.
Transformers, robots in disguise.